Welcome back to my series of dinner delights. These are perfect recipes for your friends and family, and they're quick and easy, which is perfect when you have unexpected guests. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to cook a really simple chicken liver pate with port and sage. It's just a little bit of a twist on the classic, and then to serve with it, a delicious pickled cauliflower. So to start with, pan on nice and hot. These are chicken livers from the supermarket and they've been cleaned. Sometimes if you get them from the butcher, you'll need to just clean any of the sort of white sinewy bits off, but you can always ask them to do it if you can't be bothered. So getting a pan nice and hot, a little bit of olive oil, and obviously in pate, the majority of the fat comes from butter, so I'm going to melt a little bit of butter with that oil. And the reason for the oil and the butter together, butter gives it a delicious flavour and the oil stops the butter from burning. So while that's melting down, I've just cut the livers into slightly smaller sections so they cook quickly. What we're looking for is a delicious caramelised edge on them to give extra flavour into our pate. All the ingredients for this recipe can be found in the description box. So my butter's foaming away and I can now add my livers. Now you don't want to mess around with these too much. You want to allow them to get some colour on them. So just leave them for a minute or so. And I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. Now if you're not a fan of livers and kidneys and things like that, which to be honest with you, I'm not, this is the perfect way of doing it. I love chicken liver pate and chicken liver parfaits, but to eat liver on its own, I'm a bit squeamish. It's not my favourite, and I think it's from years of abuse as a child at school with liver and bacon and said things. So if you don't like it, do give this a go because it is really delicious and creamy, but without that sort of livery, irony taste. So you can just start to see that they're starting to cook on the underside. Just again, leave them for a minute. And then, as I said, sage. If you're not a fan of sage, you can use thyme instead. You're not really looking for a really strong flavour, just a subtle one. So this is about 5 sage leaves that I'm just going to rip up. And you don't need to finely chop, it's all going in a blender later. So I'm putting these in now because it will get nice and crispy and sort of flavour the oil that these livers are cooking in. So you want to cook the livers all the way through because this is the only cooking they're going to get. So my livers are nice and brown and they're just about cooked through. And I'm going to add some port. Traditionally in chicken liver pate it's brandy, and if you want to stick with that, go ahead. My cooking's all about doing what you like, but I love a bit of port, and there's always a bottle in the back of the cupboard that hasn't quite been finished. So, however, this is a new one, but never mind. So a good glug of port. And it might catch, it might not. And you want to cook off the alcohol, so you want to leave that till it's practically disappeared, but you're left with that beautiful flavour in the pan. Now the port is almost reduced, and the centre of the livers will still be pink. Livers are always pink, so don't think that's raw. You just want to fill them, and if they feel firm, then they're cooked. So those are done, and the heat can come off. And now for the next bit, the blending. So you need one of these for this, a blender. It doesn't matter what size because you can do it in batches, but there's no real way of getting around it. You have to do it in this. So livers can go in. There's no need to leave them to cool. All the nice bits on the bottom, the sage leaves and that last residual bit of port can go in too. Now you've probably noticed I haven't put any salt in yet, and that's because I'm going to use salted butter. Some people like to use unsalted in their pates, but I'm a firm believer in salted butter. I don't think it's too strong with salt, and it just means I don't need to season later. So that can go in too. This is just room temperature. And then all you need to do is blend it until smooth. Perfect. Now one thing I will say, livers when blended do give off a slightly sulphury smell. It's because they're warm, it's nothing to worry about. If your liver smelt fine when they were raw, don't panic, this is just completely normal. So this is now ready. Now it depends how you want to serve this. I'm going to do it in little ramekins and then set it with a bit of butter over the top. But if you want, you can put it in a terrine mould and cut it and slice it. It's up to you. So this is just a normal white ramekin that I'm going to fill up. This would be a sort of a hearty individual portion. And as you can see, this is super runny, but as it sets, it will firm up. This is a perfect starter for friends, and if you're having a dinner party, you can make it the day before or 2 days before and just have it waiting in the fridge ready. So I'm just going to give that a tap down, and then at this stage it can go in the fridge for about 2 hours to set up. Now, because the chicken liver pate is so creamy and rich, I like something a little bit tangy to go with it. And this may be a bit odd, and again, if you don't like cauliflower, I think this is a great way to try it because it doesn't have that sort of normal cauliflower taste. But I'm going to do a little bit of pickled cauliflower. And you can do anything really. You could do the same with cucumber or courgettes or, I don't know, broccoli, green beans. It's the same method. So, about 100 ml of white wine vinegar. I like using white wine instead of malt because it's slightly milder and doesn't have quite such a stick your fingers in a plug socket taste. But whatever you've got in the cupboard is fine. And then about 100 grams of sugar. So it's about equal quantities. Now this is a basic pickling liquor and you can spice it with whatever you like. You could pop a cinnamon stick in there, some coriander seeds, some star anise, whatever. But I'm going plain and simple and traditional for this dish. And I'm just going to use a few peppercorns and a good pinch of salt. Now you just want to bring this to a simmer so that all the sugar has dissolved. I'll take a minute or so. You don't want to boil it for 10-15 minutes so the cauliflower becomes, you know, soggy. You want it to stay crispy. So once it is boiling, pop the cauliflower in, and then we're just going to leave it to simmer for about a minute, possibly 2, and then turn it off and leave it in its juices. It's so simple. And the perfect thing is you can pop it in an airtight jar like you would do a jam or a chutney and just leave it in your fridge and it will stay perfect for a couple of months. So now all the sugar has been dissolved and it's just bubbling away gently. I'm going to add my little florets of cauliflower. Just give everything a bit of a stir and bring it back up to the bubble for about 2 minutes maximum. So if you're not sure whether it's been bubbling for long enough, just try a bit of the cauliflower. You just want it to be tender but still have a real crunch. And this is fine. So I'm going to take it off the heat and you can pour it into a bowl and just leave it to cool, or you can pop it into a jar for later. Now, if you like this recipe and want to see more, why not click on the subscribe button? So my pate's been in the fridge for about 2 hours and now I'm just going to cover it with a layer of butter. This actually helps to preserve it. So again, if you want to do this 2 days in advance for friends coming around at the weekend, then you can. So I'm just going to melt a little bit of butter. Now, I only have salted butter in my fridge, but if you have unsalted, you can just melt that as well. But with the salted butter, you might just want to take off a little bit of the scum, which is a horrible word, but it's the only one that really describes it, the scum that will form as it's melting. So if you take that off, you'll get a clearer butter for the top. So now my butter is melted, I'm just going to take off the white foam that's come onto the top of the butter. Now all that is salt and a bit of protein that splits out from the fat when you heat it. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just not that pretty. Now with the rest of the clear butter, I'm just going to pour a little layer, over the top of the pate as a preservative. Pop that straight back into the fridge for another hour or so, or overnight to set. So my pate's been in the fridge for about 2-3 hours and it's perfectly set, and it's got this sort of lovely butter topping to it. And I've just toasted a bit of sourdough, but again you can use whatever you want, traditional really thin Melba toast, brown bread, whatever you like. And then some of this beautiful pickle. Now I'm not going to pick out the peppercorns, just tell your guests not to eat them. And this really does cut through the creaminess of that delicious pate. I'm just going to have a little try. The pate is deliciously creamy and you can really taste that delicious port and sage running through it. Perfect. I really hope you can join me for my next episode in my series of dinner delights.